Should you save for retirement or down payment on a house? I'm Nate, the Fit Future MD. I teach you to get healthy. I teach you to get rich. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe down below. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Make sure you pick up that free nutrition and workout plan in the description below. Let's say all my information is free, so make sure you take advantage of that. If you're like me, right, almost all your life you've heard about the American dream, right? You come to America, you work hard, and you build a great life compared to everywhere else in the world, right? But, you know, and you've heard the songs like, we got a Ford truck, you know, we got a washing machine, like all this great stuff, you know, for giving up the simpler ways in life, right? So, you know, all my life I've heard that kind of thing, like, oh, well, how do you get rich? Well, you own homes, like you own real estate. You know, oh, look at this guy, he retired, and or oh, look at this person, they never could retire, right? Like they're 77, 80 years old and they're still having to work. Like, you know, you don't want that, so you should save for retirement. Like, or, you know, time in the market is, you know, better than timing the market, like that kind of stuff. Like there's all these little sayings out there that, like, they pull you in different directions, right? Like, oh, well, you should have the American dream now. Like, oh, you know, sign here, you know, get this, you know, washer and dryers are now, you know, $800 each, right? So $1,600 now to have a washing machine and a dryer, right? Like it's insanity. But the truth is, should you save for retirement or should you, it's not an either or, you should do both, right? Matter of fact, housing, like, you should try to get into housing and own stuff for as cheap as possible, right? So, you know, they came out with FHA loans, you know, first time home buyer loans that are 3.5% down. They got USDA loans, which are 0% down, right? So if you don't have any money for a down payment on a house or to pay closing costs and all that stuff, you can use USDA loans to get into a property. Like, take advantage of these structures that you have. Now, if you want to do rentals in the future, then the best you're going to be able to do is a 5% down, as far as a 5% down traditional. But, you know, there's people out there taking risks on real estate where they're literally finding real estate that's paid off and saying, hey, I'll pay you $500 a month to let me own this real estate from you, and you collect the interest rate. Like, where there's a will, there's a way, right? And we know that the government is going to continue to inflate the economy by printing money, right? They've been doing it since 1971, right? Since they took the dollar off the gold standard. So there was a time in my life where, and I don't know about you guys, but I was working, you know, 2 jobs and going to school full time. And I would say that even at that time, like, it still would have been better to have bought a house, to buy where I was living. Like, I knew that this was going to be, there is a criteria for should you buy here, right? If you're going to live there for more than 5 years, you should buy. And honestly, if it's your permanent location, like you absolutely should buy. Because even if, so say, you know, maybe you can only afford $100,000 house at that time, and maybe that's in a rough part of town or whatever, you know, it's still better than, so like, we lived in a condo on the beach for 2 years at, well, almost 3 years, right? And we added it up. It's like, well, that was $40,000, and that $40,000, like, yeah, we probably could never get that experience back, right? Like, we couldn't have, well, at the time we probably could have afforded the condo on the beach. Now we definitely couldn't, because it's literally, you know, 10x in price. It's not 10x, but it's up there, right? But if we had bought that condo at the time, you know, even though we had no money down, right? You could have bought one of those condos for $140,000 at the time. We absolutely could afford that. And anybody that tells you you couldn't afford that with 2 salaries, like, and we definitely wanted to be here long term, like, this is where we wanted to be. Like, even, you know, minimum wage job workers can't afford that price, that level, right? But we paid $40,000 to live there, and we can never get that $40,000 back. Whereas those condos now are worth double the price, between $280,000 and $300,000. And we would have easily got everything we put into the house back if we sold it, right? But most likely we would have kept it and had a rental forever, right? You know, that's how people get the American dream, right? They start out with a starter home, and then as their income increases, they move up to the bigger home, rent out the starter home to a family that needs a starter home, right? And, you know, that's how you increase your wealth over time. Like, so the question is, should you save for retirement, or should you save for a down payment on a house? Like, you should be doing both, right? Between 10 and 15% of everything you make should go to retirement. And to be honest, you know, if you can get away with not putting a down payment on a house, like, you shouldn't put the down payment and keep it to repair the house, right? Now, that being said, like, there is a maintenance cost to homes, right? And, you know, from cutting the grass to, you know, pressure washing to, you know, fixing doorknobs to whatever, right? And a lot of people will say, well, I rent, so I don't have to worry about any of that. Or, you know, and then if you're say you're in your college town and you know your permanent job is going to be in New York, like, it doesn't make any sense to buy in your college town where you're not going to stay there, right? Whereas if you're in your college town, you know your permanent job is in your college town. Like, I went to ECU, I went to Greenville, like, 100% I should have bought a house in 2005. Like, they were giving them away, like, they were giving mortgages to dogs at the time. Like, my dog could have had a mortgage at the time. So it's you know, looking back on it, like, hindsight's always 20/20. Well, you teach the next generation the 20/20, right? So that's what this video is about. Like, if you're where you want to be long term, I want to be in this city, then you buy a house and you try to put as little down as possible. If that means you're in the country area, you get the USDA loan 0% down, and that's what you have to do, great. If you can do what we did, where we did a 5% down mortgage, and you can negotiate the closing cost side, and make the homeowner that's selling it pay the closing cost, then even better, right? The least down that you can get away with, the better, right? And people are going to say, well, no, then your mortgage is higher, your payment's higher, like to be honest, the banks are going to win no matter what. They've been winning, since the Rothschilds made the banking system, right? Since the five sons separated into 5 cities and came up with the modern banking system, right? So, well, since 1913 and the Federal Reserve came into power, like, the banking system's going to win, right? But you want to make it where it's a symbiotic relationship, right? Where in the long term you win because the bank helped you, right? You use their services to increase your net worth over time, right? And right now inflation is 7-8%, and at the beginning of the year you could have got a mortgage for 4%, like, so you're literally, like, the bank was literally losing 4% by giving you a mortgage, right? That's why mortgage rates are going up. But even though they're going up, they're still under what they used to be, right? They're still under all-time highs on interest rates. Eventually the interest rates have to go up so that the banks are making money long term, because banks are long-term thinkers, right? And long-term real estate is where it's at, right? Like, long-term you're not going to get a better return on your money than from real estate. So, but you don't want to be that person that did not save for retirement, right? Or did not invest into their retirement accounts. It's not really saving. Saving for retirement is a misnomer, right? So you're not saving for retirement, you're investing for retirement. And there's plans out there, right, that they basically want you to concentrate on one thing and become an expert at that one thing, right? So they'll say, pay off all your debt first. Well, it doesn't make any sense if, I can buy a place and then make a payment of $800 a month, or I can rent a place for $2,000 a month, and I'm never getting that $2,000 a month back. It does not make any sense to not buy a place, right? If the bank will allow you to. Now, if you're in so much debt and you're not able to pay your bills, and your credit score is shit, like, yes, you have to fix all that, right? And there's nothing you can do about it. So then if you have to go live in your mom's basement until it's fixed, like, then that's what you got to do. I think the biggest thing is to be willing to fix it, right? Like, say, oh, I have this problem. Like, it's not about what happens to you, it's about how you react. So, if you're in a bunch of debt, well, I'm gonna have multiple jobs until I'm out of debt, until my credit's fixed. I'm gonna make sure that if they'll let me, I'm gonna refinance, my student loans so that the interest rate is lower, so my payment is lower, so I can invest more, right? So, like, don't complicate it more than it has to be. You've made the mistake, like, just like I was talking about in the Thanksgiving video, like don't beat yourself up because you made a mistake. There's always a cure to mistakes, right? well, not always, but there is a cure to most mistakes, right? And, you know, most people will say, oh, I just don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm doing this, doing that. Well, you know, if you got yourself in a pinch, like, go work 3 jobs until you're out of the pinch, right? Like, and learn from your failure, or learn from your mistake, and never do it again, right? That's what these people have done. They went bankrupt. They had creditors call them, you know, talking about how bad they are, and, you know, being disrespectful and whatever, trying to get their money, right? So, and that's why they won't ever borrow money again, right? So real estate is definitely a good bet, right? You know, I'm invested in real estate. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm telling, you know, don't take my advice on it. Make sure that you do your research and you are educated in real estate, so that it's really more about what education you have on the topic than, once you're educated, the risk is very minimal, right? Because, so even if a hurricane comes and knocks down your house, like, insurance pays a part of it to be rebuilt. You know, you do whatever you can to get the rest, you rebuild it. Like, to me, it makes sense to do whatever you can to take advantage of programs that will let you get into real estate for as cheap as possible. You know, now once you get one, then you're going to have to save up for the next down payment, right? You're going to have to get the 20% down for a rental, like, or you turn the one you're in into a rental and you move up in life, like, or you house hack, rent out rooms so that you're not even having to pay for your mortgage. Like, it's really about what are you willing to do? Like, but I mean, if you got a family with, you know, 5 kids and, you know, you and your wife, like, yeah, you're probably not going to rent out the rooms inside your house, but maybe you convert your garage into a little apartment to help with extra income. You know, what are your skills, right? Like, but for the question, back to the question, should you save for a down payment on a house or save for or invest in retirement? You should do both, right? 15% into retirement, as little down payment as you can get on a house. I'm Nate, the FitFutureMD. If you have any questions, leave in the comments below. Make sure you like and subscribe. Pick up that free nutrition and health and workout guide in the description below. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.